So the most important question during this interview actually is coming now, Dan. So when would you sell?
I'm Dan Held. I don't sell.
Hedl.
I hedl. I held. I
Even
held.
if there, yeah, you hold, you hold, yeah, hodl. Even if we would see a totally, I don't know, overpriced asset bull run like over 1 or 2 million, and you would definitely know there will be a correction of 50% or 50%.
Yeah, let me put it in perspective. So with people ask me this all the time, Dan, when should I sell my Bitcoin? You know, what, like, do I hodl for forever? You only live one life. Live it to your fullest. If your partner wants to buy a home and you not wanting to sell your Bitcoin to buy the home will end up in a divorce or something, I don't recommend that. You have one life to live. Bitcoin's not going to make you happy around a spectrum of different, Bitcoin will solve some money problems for you, but might not solve family problems. Do you think, if you have like a ton of debt, and Bitcoin would make you sleep better at night if you sold it and paid off your debt? Now, there's the portfolio optimization perspective. That's the one I come from because I'm in a more fortunate financial circumstance. But a lot of people aren't. I understand people want to buy a home, they want to pay off their debt. But for me, I'm in a very fortunate financial circumstance where I don't have like kids and I don't have a lot of liability, and I can take very, very big risks. So from a portfolio management perspective, it's hard to want to take money or sell Bitcoin when it hasn't hit a 10, 20, 50 trillion market cap, because that to me represents like the fulfillment of my original investment thesis that Bitcoin is a gold 2.0 store of value asset. And so at that level, sure, then Bitcoin becomes boring. Bitcoin's ultimate purpose, like after all this price appreciation, because it wasn't going to go from zero to a global sound money in a linear fashion. It was going to do that in these cycles. When Bitcoin succeeds, it'll be like grandpa's gold. You'll be like, okay, grandpa, cool, you've got gold. It's really boring and it only goes up 1% a year. That's where I don't think Bitcoin's not going to be this speculative asset for forever. In that era, a lot of people would, Bitcoin is used as that very safe haven asset, but you probably want to go invest in other things. So Bitcoin has been a phenomenal return thus far, and I think will be for the next decade. But after that point, it should slow down and be kind of boring. In the meantime, what I do is I lend out my Bitcoin and earn a yield on that. That is not like a savings account. It includes much more risk than a savings account. Or I can borrow against it, which I've also done. So I've borrowed against my Bitcoin using my Bitcoin as collateral for dollars, and then I use those dollars. I actually use those dollars to buy more Bitcoin.
Smart, very nice.
Stressful, but smart. So yeah, there's no right or wrong way to do it. If you hold Bitcoin, I'm not going to tell you that you have to hold it for forever. I personally want to hold it as long as I possibly can, because I think we have a lot more price appreciation, but you only have one life to live. Go enjoy it. I don't think it's something that should be worth, your mental health for, I've been in for 8 years. That's a long time. I've seen my net worth go up, 10x, 20x, and then drop 80% 3 times.
Yeah, it's hard.
I'm 33. That's a lot to go through. That's a lot of volatility. I mean, almost very few people my age have ever gone through that much volatility. And each time there's a zero added to the net worth, right? So each cycle becomes more and more, you're like, oh, it dropped 80%. I only lost this much. And now it's like, well, now add a zero to that. I lost that much. And then you go down and you're like, okay, this is like a lot of money. So yeah, I mean, I also think about money in terms of like years. So take like your post-tax salary.
Yeah.
After you've paid taxes, when your net worth rises to a certain level, and that post-tax, yearly value of, like, let's say your post-tax income is 50,000 euro, and you have a ton of Bitcoin, and you look at it and you're like, wow, if I sold 10%, I could technically live for 10 years and not have to work. These are the sort of thing. I'm not saying that that's the right time to sell or not, but that's how I like to think about money, is that money is also time.
Yeah.
In a way. So depending on what stage you are in life, if you're close to retirement, maybe that pushes you into an early retirement. If you're young, maybe you can go work on some cool projects. I don't think there's a wrong or right way to do it, but yeah, I certainly will try to hodl as long as I can. It's been a pretty stressful journey. I also am fortunate because I work at Kraken. Kraken's a big U.S. exchange, a U.S. and European exchange, really big in Europe.
When did you buy your first Bitcoin, by the way?
2012, and it was worth around $8 to $10. I forget exactly. There was kind of a range where it bounced between $8 and $12 for a little while.
Okay. Very early days, very early days. Okay, so did you have during this time, since 2012, ever the feeling that it was a bad investment, or did you doubt it, that it falls to zero?
Yeah, I don't think anyone can say that they were perfectly. I'm as bullish as they come. There's a meme in this space called HODL, and my last name being held, very, very applicable. You know, it's my profession is what I do. I HODL. HODL, yes, HODL. So, look, we all doubt at some moments,
Sure.
like, will this succeed, right? Certainly that always existed, of like, will we survive this? And that the pit of your stomach, that despair, that worry, you know, that I think every Bitcoiner's experienced that. If they say that they haven't, then they're lying. I've never been more bullish, though. I think in the beginning there were a lot of pitfalls, like the Bitcoin Cash hard fork.
Yeah.
That was a really contentious civil war, if you will, between different stakeholders in the ecosystem. So that was a pretty intense moment. There were flippening attacks by Ethereum. So Bitcoin has, you know, survived a lot. Also survived some other struggles as well. It didn't get stamped out by a certain government. You know, the world didn't dip into multiple recessions while Bitcoin is trying to evolve. So Bitcoin has had a very favorable environment in its growth, but it has certainly survived a couple storms.